Saturn is screaming right now. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. Radio waves captured by spacecraft reveal a planet crying into the vacuum of space like some ancient machine waking up in the dark. And for centuries, we completely misunderstood what we were looking at. From Earth, Saturn appears peaceful, elegant, a glowing golden orb wrapped in perfect rings, hanging silently in the black sky like a piece of divine art. We called it the jewel of the solar system. But beauty is the perfect disguise, because Saturn is not calm. It is a violent world of crushing pressure, impossible storms, and moons that hide oceans beneath frozen shells. As gravity tears entire worlds apart, its atmosphere breeds hurricanes larger than Earth. At its north pole spins a gigantic six-sided storm that should not exist according to the laws of nature. And beneath its icy moons, something may already be alive. This is not a planet. It is a system of cosmic horror hidden behind beauty. In this video, we are diving into the terrifying truth about Saturn. The dying rings, the planet-wide storms, the toxic methane seas of Titan, and the frozen moon Enceladus, where alien life may already be swimming beneath the ice. The beautiful trap. For most of human history, Saturn looked harmless. A distant golden light drifting slowly through the night sky. Ancient astronomers saw it as a symbol of order, time, even wisdom. And when telescopes finally revealed the rings, Saturn became something else entirely: beautiful. Untouchably beautiful. No other planet looked like it. A giant sphere suspended in darkness, surrounded by perfect glowing bands of light. It looked artificial, designed, like something too elegant to exist naturally. Even today, NASA images of Saturn feel almost fake, as if the planet belongs in a painting rather than the real universe. But that beauty hides something monstrous. Saturn is a gas giant, mostly made of hydrogen and helium, but the word gas creates the wrong image. This is not a soft cloud you could float through. Saturn is a colossal pressure machine nearly 120,000 kilometers wide, with an atmosphere so deep and violent that descending into it would feel like falling forever. And Saturn spins insanely fast. A single day on the planet lasts only about 10.5 hours. Think about that. A world almost 10 times wider than Earth rotating so rapidly that the entire planet physically deforms under its own motion. Saturn is flattened. Its equator bulges outward while the poles compress inward, giving the planet the shape of a squashed sphere, almost like a giant cosmic pumpkin. Winds scream through its atmosphere at speeds exceeding 1,800 kilometers per hour, faster than the speed of sound on Earth. And beneath those calm golden clouds is chaos. The upper atmosphere appears smooth from a distance, but close-up observations reveal layer after layer of violent turbulence. Ammonia ice storms, hydrogen currents, towering vortices stretching thousands of kilometers across. Lightning storms so powerful they release energy hundreds of times stronger than Earth's nuclear arsenal. This is not weather. This is planetary violence. But the true symbol of Saturn's insanity lies at the North Pole, because there, somehow, impossibly, nature created geometry. A hexagon, not a rough shape, not an illusion, a nearly perfect six-sided storm system larger than 4 Earths combined. It has existed for decades at minimum, possibly centuries, spinning endlessly around the pole like a giant mechanical eye staring into space. Scientists still struggle to fully explain it. Fluid systems are supposed to create spirals and circles, not perfect angular structures. And yet Saturn's atmosphere maintains this impossible formation with terrifying stability. At the center of the hexagon sits a massive hurricane-like vortex glowing deep red beneath layers of cloud. It does not look natural. It looks engineered. And Saturn only becomes more terrifying when you realize the rings are not decorations. They are debris. death frozen into orbit. The rings stretch nearly 300,000 kilometers across, yet in some places they are thinner than a city skyscraper is tall. From far away they appear smooth and solid, but inside them is total chaos. Trillions of fragments of ice and rock colliding endlessly at enormous speeds. A blizzard of razor-sharp debris orbiting a giant world. And according to the leading theory, those rings may have once been a moon. A world destroyed by Saturn's gravity. Ripped apart piece by piece after crossing the Roche limit. The invisible boundary where tidal forces become so violent that even entire moons cannot survive. The rings are not jewelry. They are the remains of something Saturn killed. The planet that destroys worlds. The rings of Saturn are beautiful from a distance, but inside them beauty disappears. Imagine flying between those glowing bands. You would not see smooth golden circles. You would enter a frozen war zone, billions of chunks of ice and rock smashing into one another at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. Some particles are microscopic. Others are as large as mountains. Every second, collisions send shards of ice exploding outward like cosmic shrapnel. Entire regions of the rings ripple with gravitational disturbances caused by nearby moons, creating waves hundreds of kilometers long moving silently through the debris. The rings are alive with motion, and yet they are unbelievably thin. Despite stretching nearly 300,000 kilometers across, much of the ring system is only about 10 meters thick. In cosmic terms, Saturn surrounded itself with a blade, a paper-thin disk of destruction circling the planet at terrifying speed. But the most disturbing part is where the rings came from. Scientists believe Saturn murdered one of its own moons. Long ago, a large icy moon drifted too close to the planet. At first, nothing happened. Then it crossed an invisible boundary known as the Roche limit, the point where Saturn's tidal gravity becomes stronger than the moon's own structural integrity. The moon never escaped. Saturn's gravity stretched it apart piece by piece. Mountains collapsed. Oceans burst upward. The crust cracked open under impossible stress until the entire world was torn into fragments and scattered into orbit. Those fragments became the rings. Every glowing band you see through a telescope may be the remains of an ancient moon shredded by gravity. Saturn transformed a world into decoration, and the destruction never stopped. Even now, Saturn is slowly consuming the rings through something scientists call ring rain. Tiny particles spiral downward into the atmosphere under the influence of gravity and magnetic forces. The planet is eating its own masterpiece. In roughly 100 million years, a blink in cosmic time, the rings may disappear completely. But Saturn's violence extends far beyond the rings. Every few decades, the atmosphere erupts into something called the Great White Spot. A storm so enormous it wraps around the entire planet like a scar. Imagine a hurricane encircling Earth. Now imagine lightning inside that storm 10,000 times more powerful than anything humans have ever recorded. These planet-wide tempests churn ammonia ice clouds from deep within Saturn's atmosphere, turning the golden world ghostly white. Heat rises upward from the interior like pressure escaping from a bomb. Entire atmospheric layers destabilize. Then Saturn calms again, as if nothing happened. But maybe the most terrifying thing about Saturn is not the storms or the gravity. It is the sound. Spacecraft detected powerful radio emissions coming from the planet, electromagnetic waves generated by charged particles crashing through Saturn's magnetic field. When converted into audio, the result sounds horrifying. A deep mechanical scream echoing through empty space. Not human, not alive, but disturbingly close to both. And Saturn's magnetic field itself is monstrous. It traps radiation in enormous belts surrounding the planet, creating an invisible death zone capable of frying electronics and bombarding nearby moons with constant energy. Everything around Saturn is shaped by its power. Its storms, its moons, its rings. Even the strange worlds orbiting it exist under the shadow of a giant that never stops pulling, crushing, consuming, and transforming everything near it. Saturn does not simply orbit the Sun. It dominates an empire of nightmares. Titan and Enceladus, the moons that should terrify us. Saturn rules over more than 140 moons. But two of them changed everything we thought we knew about life in the solar system. The first is Titan. At first glance, Titan feels strangely familiar. It is the only moon in the solar system with a thick atmosphere. Standing on its surface would feel oddly Earth-like. There are clouds overhead. Rain falls from the sky. Rivers cut through valleys. Lakes stretch across the horizon. But Titan is a lie. Because none of it is water. The rivers are liquid methane. The lakes are natural gas. The rain itself is hydrocarbons falling through an atmosphere colder than anything humans could survive. The surface temperature is around -179 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, human flesh would freeze solid almost instantly. Metal becomes brittle. Breathing is impossible. Even sunlight barely reaches the surface through the thick orange haze covering the moon. And the ground beneath your feet is not sand. Titan's massive dunes are made from hydrocarbon particles, essentially black grains of frozen plastic shaped by alien winds. Entire landscapes exist there that resemble Earth while being chemically hostile to everything alive here. It is like looking at a distorted reflection of home. A dead Earth built from the wrong ingredients. But Titan is not the most frightening moon orbiting Saturn. That title belongs to Enceladus. For years, Enceladus looked insignificant. Just a small frozen moon covered in bright white ice. Then NASA's Cassini spacecraft flew close to its south pole and saw something impossible. The moon was erupting. Massive geysers of water vapor were blasting hundreds of kilometers into space through giant fractures in the ice known as tiger stripes. Saturn's gravity was flexing the moon internally, generating enough heat to keep liquid water hidden beneath the frozen crust. An entire ocean existed underground, and that ocean contained something deeply unsettling. Organic molecules, salt, heat, chemical energy. The ingredients for life. Cassini flew directly through those icy plumes and detected compounds associated with hydrothermal activity, the same kind of deep-sea vents on Earth where entire ecosystems survive without sunlight. That changed the conversation forever, because if life can exist near hydrothermal vents on Earth, then something could theoretically survive beneath Enceladus too. Maybe microbes, maybe something stranger. Somewhere beneath kilometers of ancient ice, hidden in total darkness, an alien ocean may already contain living organisms evolving silently around volcanic vents. And the terrifying part is this: if life appeared independently on one of Saturn's moons, then life may not be rare at all. The universe could already be full of it. The death of Cassini and Saturn's final secret. To uncover Saturn's secrets, humanity had to sacrifice one of its greatest machines. Its name was Cassini. For 13 years, the spacecraft orbited Saturn, drifting through the shadows of the rings, diving past alien moons, and sending back images that completely transformed our understanding of the planet. Cassini revealed methane seas on Titan. It discovered the hidden ocean beneath Enceladus. It watched storms larger than Earth explode across Saturn's atmosphere. But by 2017, Cassini was dying. Its fuel reserves were almost gone, and NASA faced a terrifying possibility. If the spacecraft lost control, it could accidentally crash into moons like Enceladus or Titan, worlds that might contain the ingredients for life. Even a dead spacecraft carries Earth bacteria. A single contamination event could destroy future scientific discoveries forever. So NASA made a brutal decision. Cassini would have to die. On September 15, 2017, the spacecraft began its final descent into Saturn's atmosphere. This mission became known as the grand finale. Cassini crossed the rings one last time and plunged directly toward the planet it had spent over a decade studying. As it fell deeper, Saturn's atmosphere began tearing at the spacecraft violently. Temperatures climbed. Pressure increased. The giant planet ripped the machine apart molecule by molecule. Even while dying, Cassini kept transmitting data back to Earth. It fought to keep its antenna pointed home until the very last second. Then the signal vanished. After traveling billions of kilometers through space for nearly 20 years, Cassini was erased inside Saturn forever. And yet Saturn itself is not eternal either. The rings, the very feature that made Saturn famous, are slowly disappearing. Scientists discovered that Saturn's gravity is pulling ring particles down into the atmosphere in a process called ring rain. Tiny fragments of ice and dust are constantly falling into the planet like cosmic ash. One day, the rings will be gone. In roughly 100 million years, Saturn may become just another gas giant drifting silently through darkness, stripped of the beauty that made it iconic. That is the final irony of Saturn. What looks eternal is temporary. What looks peaceful is violent. What looks beautiful is built from destruction. A world of storms, dead moons, toxic oceans, screaming radio waves, and hidden alien seas. Saturn is not the jewel of the solar system. It is a warning hidden behind beauty.